Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Battle of Ontario Hockey Podcast, featuring a Senators fan and a Leafs fan. We're here to talk about your two favorite teams, the rest of the NHL, local hockey, hockey all around the world, and to bring back memories from your favorite hockey teams and players. If you love the Leafs, Sens, B-Sens, NHL, or any other hockey, including the late Belleville Bulls, you are going to want to tune into our podcast. The gloves are off, the buckets are spinning, let's get the chirps flying. Welcome to the Boo Club! Well, there we go, Flem. We are at lucky number 13 of the Battle of Ontario Hockey Podcast. Number 13, buddy. It's lucky number 13. And today is a great day because we have a local legend, local Belleville legend, we'll call him, local Belleville hockey legend, Brandon Dafoe. He'll be coming on here later. We've just got some stuff to talk about before we get him on here. And anybody that knows Dafoe, you love him and you laugh at him, right? Those are two things. The two L's, I guess, with Dafoe. Love him and laugh at him because he's quite the character and everybody likes him. So we had some fun with him. We didn't go too crazy or get into too crazy stories, but we would love to have him again on, possibly even with one of his buddies. I know we were talking on the show, maybe even Chris Rajat, gave him a shout out there. So maybe we'll get Razzie and Dafoe on again, maybe in a couple months. But anyways, I'm going to start today, Flem, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the Leafs are on a 3-game losing skid. Yes, the Toronto Make You Laughs are on a 3-game losing skid. Ottawa lost their last game too, but screw you. Anyways, so I'm just going to talk about Ottawa a little bit here. So where was I? So last night we lost to Edmonton. It's a tough game. We lost 3-2. Back-to-back game. Edmonton didn't play the night before. Ottawa did. That's always a tough. Both backups were in. I thought Joey Decord played pretty good. It was kind of an even game. There was times where Edmonton really took it to them. The second period, I thought, was all Edmonton. But Ottawa played really, really well in the third period and just couldn't put the tying goal in the net. But definitely not bad for a team that's growing and going to have growing pains. So back-to-backs are tough for anybody, but not a bad game. Sunday here, I really want to talk about Sunday. Sunday really pissed me off, and I'll tell you why. Ottawa won the game. They didn't only beat the Flames, they beat the refs. Sometimes in a game, there's going to be a team that takes more penalties than another team. I get it. And that's usually sometimes teams play more rougher, tougher, take more chances, more with their stick. I get it. It's going to happen. But when you have a game where one team takes 8 penalties, the other team takes 2, and it's kind of a big and there's a couple calls missed and a couple calls are weak. I thought the officiating Sunday night for the Ottawa game was no other than horse shit. Plain and simple. And I'm not the only one. I know all the Sens fans were pissed off. DJ Smith, the coach of the Sens, was pissed off. It was a joke. And I got an argument with somebody online, and it just pissed me off because I'm like, did you play? This is where I'm going to start. I'm going to start. So there's Tim Stutz is coming down the ice towards the end of the game. Okay. Or no, sorry, it was in overtime. And he's a guy with a ton of speed, probably one of the faster guys in the game, and he's the youngest player. Coming down, fakes to go inside, goes to go around the guy. Well, what's the D do? Gets a stick between his legs, okay? When I was younger, one of my things was skating, right? And when it sticks between your legs and it gets bundled up and you fall, you fall a weird way. You don't jump, but you fall a weird way because you're trying to get out of it. So it's almost like you lift your leg. You know what I mean? To try and get out of when it sticks between your legs. And that's what happened. He fell. So here's what really pissed me off. The penalties were already called 8-2. So that's 16 minutes to 4 minutes. That's a big advantage for that team. Now, I'm not saying all the penalties were bad. What I'm saying is it was not a 16-minute to 4-minute game. That was BS. And then what happened was, instead of giving Calgary a penalty, okay, he gives Calgary a penalty, the D-man, and Stutzler a dive. And it's like, what are you fucking kidding? I was pissed. And I've been in that position where somebody says, oh, you dove. I'll be honest, every time someone said to me when I'm playing, you dove, I didn't dive. If I didn't. The only times I dove was when I ever got away with it. but you'd usually never get a penalty anyways, right? And the stick between your legs. So here's the biggest thing for me, and I don't understand it. And maybe you can help me out, Flem. How the fuck is it a trip and a dive? If you trip me, it's a penalty, right? How do I dive? If I dove, it shouldn't be a trip. What's your thoughts? Simple as that.
Yeah, so I think the trip is one where it is kind of hard to do a trip and a dive. Like I can see how it can be a hook and a dive, right? Like if you're slowing someone down and they want to kind of accentuate the point that they were slowed down and they fall down, right? But I agree, like when the stick is in your feet, there's not really much you can do, right? Especially when your foot just kind of clips it. I mean, it's something that you go down really quick when that happens. So I agree that the trip and a dive kind of don't go together. But there are instances where that happens, like a hook and a dive or a cross check or something like that, you know, where someone exaggerates the play. It doesn't have to go down. But yeah, you're right. That's just a play. I don't think that was a dive. I think that was probably a penalty against Calgary for sure.
And the biggest difference, guys, is this is my point about this is if you're skating at the speeds Stützle's skating at, and you get the stick between your legs, you have no choice. You're going down. This isn't men's league playing in Belleville at the Yardman at Tuesday at 11 p.m. where you're skating like you're 3 kilometers an hour and the guy puts a stick and you jump. It's totally different, guys. These guys are flying out there. You put the stick under a blade or anything like that, they're going down. And they're going down hard. So I didn't like the call. I didn't think he dove. And the biggest thing was, oh, the Europeans are taught to dive. Oh, come on. Don't give me that horse shit. Like, yeah, this isn't soccer. I just didn't like it. You think Stützle is going to try and – it's overtime. All he's trying to do is get around the guy, right? So yeah. I didn't like the call. Ottawa ended up winning still. They ended up winning a shootout. Stützle and Batherson scored the goals in shootout. So that was awesome. And I was pretty pumped up about that. So good to see. And now they have the series right now, I think, with Calgary 3-2, if I'm not mistaken. So good on them. And you know what, Ottawa, it's it's one game they win, the next game they might lose. I'm not mad about their game right now. It's a little bit up and down, but that's what's going to happen when you have a young team. And I'm telling you, I watched the young players for North Dakota last week, and I've been watching a lot of their clips on the internet. And I think we could see Sanderson, Bernard Docker, and Pinto all at the end of the year. So I'm excited to do that. And they got some Belleville Senators guys, but maybe we'll get into that later. So let's talk about something else. Let's talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs 3-game losing skid. Hold
on, I just want
go ahead. Yeah.
I just want to see who are you highest on for that prospect pool? You're highest on Sanderson, Docker, or who's the other guy you mentioned?
Pinto. Who am I highest on?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Sanderson, they put what was it, 5th overall?
Yeah, 5th overall. Yeah.
So I mean, honestly, I didn't think they were going to take him. I thought they were going to take Jamie Drysdale. He's the right shot too, but I watched this Sanderson, and I think he is one smooth player. I don't think he's going to put up as big numbers, maybe as Drysdale might. He still can though, but he's smooth and he's so sharp defensively. I think he's going to be unreal defensively, and he's smooth. He can play power play. He can play anything for a defender. Bernard Docker, I don't know. He could be more depth. For as far as you never know with these guys, right? But Bernard Docker, I think maybe doesn't have as much ceiling as Sanderson, but time will tell. And then Pinto, I don't know. Like this guy came out of nowhere. He lit it up at World Juniors, not this year, but the year before. Yeah. I think he had like 7 goals for the States. He's a face-off king. Like he was, I don't know if he still is, but he was leading the whole country in face-off percentages and numbers of wins this year. And he's putting up some big numbers, and they were big numbers for college because the numbers aren't usually as high. And they're talking, he could be nominated for the Hobey Baker. So there's another guy. Like if you get him in and you put him in, geez, those could be 2 key players. When I see key players, I'm talking, maybe for forwards, top 6 player, and maybe top 4, even top 2 possibly for defensemen. So if those. And even Bernard Docker could sneak into that. So I don't know. I would lean towards Pinto and Sanderson as my picks.
Okay, yeah. So let's get on to the Leafs, like we were saying. So the Leafs have played a couple of games since we were last on rope. So Saturday night, the Leafs lose, I think, 4-2 to Vancouver. And I don't think Leafs fans should panic right now. I mean, every team goes through a stretch like this where you're just not getting the bounces, or you lose 3 or 4 in a row. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Everyone knows Leafs fans tend to overreact to everything pretty much, but I think we can stay calm here. I mean, Saturday night, we did run into a hot goalie. I think Demko was playing well, but I think the main key to that Saturday night game is the the Leafs are up 2-1, and Nylander flips the puck over the glass there to get a penalty, and then Vancouver scores in the power play, and they score right after. So I think that just kind of emphasizes how tight the NHL really is, right? Like the Leafs are up, and all that happens is I think Horvat just kind of puts a little pressure on Nylander. He's skating out of the zone, and he gets a little panic, and he flips it up over, and that's a penalty. Like it or not, I mean, the delay game penalty is a penalty now, but that just shows how tight the NHL really is, right? So one mistake can cost you games, and that's why a lot of people get on a guy like Nylander, who does make mistakes defensively or his compete levels questioned, right? Because if you make that mistake in the playoffs and it costs you a game, now we got a really big deal on our hands, right? So that's why I think it's so important for everyone to do the little things right, and that's something why people get frustrated with Willie. So that was a play where he just basically he just shit the bed. He just panicked and he chipped up over the glass, and that changed the whole game, right? The Leafs are up 2-1 at that point. Vancouver scores 3s in a row, and then and that ends it. And then last night they lost. What did they lose? 4-3 to Winnipeg, right, Broke?
Yeah.
So the Leafs are up 2-1. Good to see Austin Matthews back. Matthews comes back, scores 2 goals, a hat trick too, actually, because he kicks one into his own net. So he did get 3, but
so you're counting. That's just like when you count. If we tie, you count it as a win because you won before. Like that's so now you're counting hat tricks when they score in their own net.
No,
Holy shit! I counted the champ. Might be into some records.
I counted the champ or chump win because I was the champ. Hey, like an AEW, but like an AEW, you got to beat the champ clean.
No, time out a second here. When they say, "Oh, I'm a 10-time champ," doesn't mean they won 10 matches. It means they lost it and won it back 10 times. So
then I'd have to lose it. I never lose it. So what'd you win?
So you're a 1-time champ.
So you won the first week, and we had 2 games, and I think I've been on a winning streak the last 5-6 weeks, right? So.
Oh, okay.
Jesus.
Okay. You want to get into that? Okay. So what about our 2 bets? I think I won $40 from you on the weekend, bud. Ottawa won, and Matthews didn't even score a goal, let alone 2. So how about that, champ or chump?
Congratulations, Brokey. You won 2 bets. You won the 2 bets. But do you want to talk about our other league? Who won money in our other pool? Zippy zip. Who won money in our other pool? I believe that e-transfer I was saying was only for $4 or $5, right? So
$6.66.
Yeah.
So Fleming finished. So I have a pool I run, and basically there's money at the end, but $100 a week. So Fleming tied for first. So he won 33 basically. So you sent me 66. Should have been
666.
Sorry, 666. So
yeah,
I took $40 off you, but remember that 33, that isn't my money. That's the pot's money. So
yeah,
it doesn't count really towards me. And I was only 2 points behind you. And that gets to our next point where let's get into that later because we still want about the Laps, right? I mean the Leafs. Sorry.
Let's keep going. Yeah. So I think the Leafs just ran into a hot goalie night. Hellebuck was on fire tonight. Marner had 3 or 4 grade A chances that Hellebuck robbed him on. And I think this was a prove-it game for Hellebuck. He got pulled the other night against Montreal. He comes back out into Toronto against the best team in the division, and he shuts the door, really. So I think Toronto put up over 40 shots and only 3 goals, and 1 was really late with the empty net. So Hellebuck played well, and I think it was just sometimes you run into a hot goalie, and that's the thing. I think a couple things happened where let's see here. On the 3rd goal, a very sloppy change for the Leafs. They I think that was the 3rd goal, right? Yeah. 3rd goal, very sloppy change, and then Justin Hall just kind of gets watching the puck and doesn't take his guy in front of the net. Ehlers flips it out front to Kyle Connor, who puts it away. One of the best goal scorers in the league there, Kyle Connor. I think he's a really underrated guy. And then the 4th goal, Morgan Riley tries to do a long breakout pass. The puck gets intercepted, and then he's really caught flat-footed. He tries to pass it from, I think, his own goal line, Brokey, and then it gets picked off. I think Appleton comes in and kind of walks Riley because he just stands there flat-footed. That goes up 4-2, and that's really the backbreaker in that game. Just one of those games for the Leafs where they run into a hot goalie. A couple of mistakes really cost them the game, so they just need to tighten it up defensively. I think that's what Keith said too. Is they just need to start doing some little things to help them win games. That's it. I mean, the Nylander flipping over the glass on Saturday night, and then a couple of mistakes tonight end up losing you. It cost you points. So that's something the Leafs got to tighten up going forward.
No, for sure. And realistically, like this is their biggest down point of the year. They've caught fire pretty much the whole year. I think they're fine. I mean, Winnipeg could, they could still get caught and not win the division. But at the end of the day, like I said before, that doesn't matter if they win the division or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about playoffs. I still think they're going to win the division. I still think they're going to get out of this and they'll put on another streak. I think they're too good of a team not to. But this is going to be a good challenge for them and to see if they learn from it or if it hurts them down the stretch. Demko there, I think Demko has won 5 in a row, if I'm not mistaken on that.
Yeah. He's kind of taken over that number 1 job in Vancouver too. He's kind of taken it from Holtby now.
honestly, when Ottawa played him at the start of the year, I think he played the one game, and honestly, I was like, holy shit, who is this goalie? Because I think that was the game we outshot them by like 12, and we lost by like 3 or 4 goals, and I was like, who the hell? Like, I know him, but I'm like, this guy's unreal. And then he kind of had a little bit of a cold stretch there, and then now he's back to himself again, playing really, really well. So that's one really good thing I think Vancouver has going for them. For him is for them is Demko. He's a good player. So the rest, I just don't really like the rest of their team, but they've actually won a few games here. So we'll see. And Toronto, they still got a couple injuries, do they not?
Yeah, they still got Simmons out too, and Jack Campbell's out. So yeah, they got a couple injuries still.
Yeah. So I mean, get Simmons back. I think he's going to be I really think Simmons is going to be a big part of that team going forward, especially in the playoffs. If he's healthy for the playoffs, he's going to be such a big boost for that team. He's going to bring everybody else into war, and he's going to get more out of Marner. He's going to get more to Matthews come playoff times. They're going to see him. They're going to see his experience and see what he can do. And I really think that the biggest thing will be Nylander. He's ups and downs, but actually he's played pretty good this year. I liked his game, and he could score. I know a lot of guys were on him, but like he was getting like a point per game, and everyone's chirping him. It's like, shit, he's not doing that bad. So he's a guy that'll be interesting come playoff time. But I think the Leafs bounce back. I think they're too good of a team not to. And all of a sudden, you have a couple of games where the puck's not going in, even though they got a few tonight. I think next game they just got to tighten up defensively. Keep the puck out of their net, and their goal scoring ability will take over. So.
Yeah, and I think this might be a reason for give Keefe an excuse to kind of get the blenders out and shuffle up the lines a little bit. One thing that they did on Saturday night was they put Jason Spezza up on, just for the third period, I think. They put Spezza up on the second line with Tavares and Nylander, and Spezza really gave a little spark to that line. So that's something I might see a little before. I mean, Spezza's averaging almost a point per game right now, and I think when you got a guy like that and he's hot, I mean, I think you got to play him, right? So I'd like to see Spezza get a little bit of a chance in the top six and maybe play with a Tavares and a Nylander, and see if he can be the spark of that line. They've been looking for the third player to go along with those two. I think they tried VC to start the year. They've tried Mikheyev. Everyone's pretty much had a shot. So I'd like to see Spezza get a shot on that line and see if he can get Tavares and Nylander going. He's got the skill to play with them. And I think that's something he should look into for sure.
Yeah. So it's definitely going to be interesting to come down the stretch. I think, like you say, they have a lot of punch up front. So I mean, they can always, tweak with a couple lines and see what works, right? And that doesn't mean what works for the next 5 games is going to work later on. You never know, right?
Yeah.
Especially with injuries, you never know at the trade deadline if they're going to move any pieces out or bring anybody in. So, but I think, couple games, bad stretch, they'll be over it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. We want to talk about trade deadline. The Leafs, I'll make a prediction on the show, Brokey. The Leafs are going to go out and get Taylor Hall. That's what I think their trade deadline acquisition is. They're going to look for a winger to go out there and join and play with Tavares. And I think Taylor Hall's the guy Dubas is going to be looking at.
Really, eh?
Yeah. So, yeah, he's in Buffalo. Buffalo's kind of, I think they're the second worst.
How would they ever afford that? How would they ever afford that contract?
Well, Buffalo would have to retain to make that work, right? So I think they'd probably send someone like Kerfoot and, I don't know who else they could send, maybe a depth defenseman. And Buffalo might have to retain $2 or $3 million. But that's kind of common practice now at the trade deadline, where teams that are selling, all the teams are so close.
Why would Buffalo do it? Why would Buffalo do it?
To get the picks back, right? I mean, I'm not saying it's just Kerfoot.
Oh, they're getting.
Yeah, no. I'm saying like it's probably Kerfoot and 2 or 3 really good prospects or a first round pick, right? So, I mean, I think if they can't sign Taylor Hall, they've got to get some pieces back for him, right, and help that rebuild along. So, I think that's been common practice now the last couple of years of the trade deadline. Is all the big teams are so tight to the cap that the teams that are selling have to retain some salary, and I think they know that now. That's just kind of part of how things work, and I think it helps them get more in return too, right? So. The Leafs know they can't fit Hall in, so maybe they're willing to give that extra prospect, or maybe make a B prospect an A prospect, just so Buffalo retains a little bit on them and they can make a push, because the Leafs are going all in on this year now, right? I mean, this is their chance. They should have not an easy path, but they're the favorites to come out of the North and make it to the third round. So I think Dubas is going to get really aggressive at the deadline, and I think Hall's the guy he's going to be looking for.
And I think you're right. I think Leafs are in that window. Well, 100% Leafs are in that window where this is the time to win the cup. And I'm not saying that window is going to close in a year or two, but they're actually in that window. It could be 3, 4, 5 years from now where that window starts to close. Who knows? It all depends on contracts. But you got guys with lots of experience. You got Simmons in there. You got Thornton. You get Spezza. Who knows what's going to happen with their goaltending? Anderson's not signed next year. So I think you're right. I think this window right here, this is an opportunity. And next year, they are not going to have this opportunity playing only the North Division. They're going to have to play Boston, possibly Tampa, other teams like that. So if
Yeah.
I'm Dubas, I'm going in all in this year. Not saying I'm going to forfeit the future, but I would definitely try and take advantage of it. The one knock on this year, though, especially for Canadian teams, is if you bring a haul in, you gotta wait minimum 2 weeks before you can play. So
Yeah.
that can hurt a little bit. I mean, but if it's for the playoffs, then we'll definitely see what happens, right?
The Leafs do have a stretch here coming up where I think they only play, I think it might be 5 games in 14 days. I think that starts pretty soon. So I think the Leafs window to bring someone in from an American team is coming up in the next week or two. So I'd look for Dubas to even jump before the trade deadline.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I don't know. It's weird because Buffalo's in a mess right now. They're percentage-wise the second worst team in the NHL. They're actually worse than Ottawa. And it's funny. That's Brandon Dafoe, our guest today. That's his favorite team. We didn't really get into too much about that. Maybe next time, Daff. But yeah, they're a mess right now. Now, the only thing is, I did hear, this is really weird, but Buffalo's in talks with Hall about signing them long term, possibly. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe Buffalo makes a deal with them, trades them at the deadline, gets a bunch of picks or whatever, or a couple of young guys, and then signs them after. I mean, I don't know if we've ever really seen that, but I've always thought about that. Like, why wouldn't I do that? Like, I get to play on a contending team this year, and then I sign back somewhere where maybe I like it, and I'm benefiting them because I'm giving them more better players or picks, right? So I don't know if have we ever seen that in the NHL?
There's one case where it was like a decade ago, and I remember it. I don't remember who it was. I'll try to look it up for next show though, because I do remember that did happen one time. I specifically remember, but they might have even did something with the rules after that. So I'll have to look into it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
It's kind of like reminds me like the Atlanta Thrashers kind of day. Something might happen there, but anyway, I'll look into it for next show maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, anyways, we'll go on to the next segment here maybe.
Yep.
So the Belleville Senators, we haven't talked about them too much. It's actually been a tough year for them. They have got off to a horrendous start. It's definitely tough to watch, and obviously with them not even playing in Belleville, it's definitely a tough year for the community. But for all the fans out there, Belleville Senators did win their last game. They are, I believe, 2 wins and 6 losses. They're not out of it. There is lots of hockey left. If they can sneak into a playoff spot, I think they can do some damage. They do have one of the younger teams in the league. And they do have a good coach there, Troy Manny. He is a really good coach. I just think they kind of got off to a bad start. And now they're trying to get, they're starting to get things under hold. The last game, they won 3-0. Philip Gustafson had a hat trick. He had a shutout. He didn't have a hat trick. That would have been funny. The goalie gets a hat trick. But no, he had a shutout. So that's really good to see. He's a good goalie. I think he's definitely a part of Ottawa's future, but I think he could be a starter. Obviously this year and possibly the next year in Belleville. So Belleville's going to have a top goalie, and that's even with Decord coming back. If Decord does come back, he may stay up in Ottawa. But they do have some good pieces here. There's Logan Shaw, their captain. He scored the other night. So did Sokolov. Sokolov was, I believe, a second-round pick this year. He was like a 19, 20-year-old though, which usually they don't pick those guys that high, but they did, and he's looking pretty good. He's a Russian, but played in the Quebec League last year and put up some big numbers. So he's a good player. So if you're going to watch any Belleville Sens games or check them out, look out for that Sokolov guy. And then my favorite player, and I actually have his jersey. I wore it one of the shows. Alex Warmington. This guy, he scored a goal. He scored the first one there. He is the fastest guy in the AHL. I don't know why he's not in the NHL right now, but if you're going to watch the Belleville Sens games, watch him and enjoy watching him, because I'm telling you, he's a good talent, and I think he's going to be a good second or third line player in the NHL. Where he fits in, I don't exactly know. I don't think he's a fourth line player, but probably not a first line player. You never know though. But he's one of the fastest guys, and he did win the AHL Skills fastest skater last year. He won that, so he's a guy to look out for. So Belleville Senators fans, stick with it. Hopefully we can put some wins together. I think they will. I don't think they're a bottom team. I think they're a young team, and they'll learn from it, and hopefully they can sneak in the playoffs and do something.
Yeah, for sure. So let's move on. We want to go to the Tom Wilson suspension. So as everyone knows, Tom Wilson gets a 7-game suspension for hitting Brandon Carlo to the head last week in the Washington-Boston game. So I'm thinking, I said 6 games. I think 7's probably the perfect number for Wilson on this. I mean, I think he gets a few tacked on because he is a repeat offender. I mean, he was spent up to 20 games at one point. So the NHL comes down on this one. They give him 7. I mean, it seems harsh, but when you have a track record like Wilson, you kind of got to be careful what you're doing, right? I mean, he knows he's in murky water with the league, and yeah, I think 7 games is about right on that play. It's a dirty hit. He hits him right to the side of the head. to a guy that's engaged in the play to a guy that's bent down. He's got no way to defend himself there. And I don't normally agree with the NHL suspensions, but I think they got this one right.
Well, you know what? And I know I said at least 3, and I didn't know what the number was going to be, but I wouldn't have been happy if it was under 3.
Yeah.
This guy is a repeat offender. It's one of those things, though. He's pretty much every GM would love to have him on their team.
Oh, yeah.
The problem is when those types of players are flirting with a fine line, right? Where they make some really good plays, they make some good hits, and they can be a game changer. At the same time, if they make one boo-boo, one mistake, like he did, going at somebody's head, they're out for 7 games, which can definitely hurt the team too, right? So, but it's tough to look at that play with his record, with the suspensions he's had in the past. Everybody knows about him. He targeted the head there, and I saw one guy say, "Oh, he didn't go at the head; he hit the shoulder first." He didn't hit the shoulder first. It might have brushed the shoulder. It might have brushed it, but he didn't go boom and then bounce off. It might have brushed the shoulder, but the contact was at the head. There's no question about it. You can't say, "Oh, he rushed." He just shoulder the head. No, you know what you're doing. And at the same time, it's the same thing. When you high stick a guy, even though if you didn't mean it, you got to be in control of your stick. Well, you got to be in control of your body when you're making these hits. If you think there's a chance you're going to smoke a guy in the head when he has no way to defend himself, he's against the boards, he's against the wall in a battle. I mean, I just don't like the play. I mean, this is a play that maybe 10, 20 years ago, there was no suspension, but these are the ones that they kind of got to get out of the game because this is why guys are having head problems. So I want hitting in the game, make it clean, shoulder to shoulder, smoke a guy, whatever. But anything to do with the head is definitely it can't be in the game, unfortunately.
For sure. So yeah, I think the NHL got it right. So let's move on to Calgary here, bro. So we weren't aware that Brent Sutter wasn't coming in right away. He's got to clear some COVID protocols, right? But so 2 more losses for Calgary over the weekend. So they lose to Edmonton and Ottawa. Do you think Sutter's going to be able to help them out here? Like, I'm just looking at their lineup, and I'm not very enthused of what Calgary's doing right now. I think this might be a team that's in trouble and might have to start unloading their assets. Johnny Gaudreau's only got 1 year left after this year. He's coming to a UFA. What do you think the Flames do going into the playoffs or going into the trade deadline here, bro? Do you think they're going to make a push at it, stand pat, or do you think they might try to sell and get some picks?
I think they're definitely going to make a push at it this year. Next year could be a totally different story depending on what happens. But I think they can make a push at it and they can put some wins together. And I mean, they do have a decent goalie there. It's Markstrom, isn't it?
Yeah, Markstrom.
You know, he can be a pretty good goalie when he wants to be. Riddick is what do they call him? Big Save Dave. You never know with them. But I think they have a team there that can definitely sneak into the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying they're going to, but I think they can definitely battle. I think they're better than than Vancouver. I don't like Vancouver, and they're not terrible. They definitely got to put some wins together. I mean, it is a tight season. It's only so long, and I think the next probably month will tell. But they do have some decent players there. But like you said, what's going to happen if they miss the playoffs or if they make the playoffs and don't do anything? I mean, next year could be a very, very big year for them. It's going to be interesting to see. Like, do you all of a sudden start to become a seller and rebuild or retool? I don't know. They haven't really won there or done much yet. I think they've won one playoff round.
Yeah,
in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was one a couple.
They won last year. Yeah, they beat Winnipeg last year, I think.
Was that in the preliminary though, or was that the actual playoffs?
That was the actual playoffs.
Oh, they did win that. Okay, so it was last year. Yeah, so I don't really count that preliminary stuff as a playoff win, but it's more of a pre-playoff win. But I don't know, man. I can't see them bringing a guy. I don't know if he's the type of guy for a rebuild, but I know time's going to tell, right?
Yeah.
They definitely got to do something here because, I mean, this has got to start right away. One thing that really pissed me off, and I guess we didn't think of it because of the COVID thing, but I took Calgary and I took them in the pool as well. Now, this is funny. If Calgary would have won that game, I would have won the pool. I would have been the only winner at $100 in my pocket. They didn't, so I finished 2 points back. But having said that, and I would have beat you as well, I think, if Calgary would have won.
Excuses.
Anyways, my point is this. I didn't, and you didn't know this either, didn't really even think of him not being on the bench, right? Usually boom, they're there, they spark the team. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have taken Calgary, to be honest, because my whole philosophy on the game was new coach, new spark, and when the coach isn't really around, it's not the same. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
So no, I that kind of pissed me off after I found that out. I'm like, oh shit, I wouldn't have taken Calgary, but it is what it is.
So I'm thinking, so I agree. I think when you bring a guy like Sutter in, that they're not gonna sell assets this year. They're going for it this year. They're gonna try to push into the playoffs, but I think they're gonna miss the playoffs. I don't think they're that good of a team. And next year, so 2021, 2022, Matthew Tkachuk's on the last year of his deal. Johnny Gaudreau's on the last year of his deal. Sam Bennett's on the last year of his deal. Mark Giordano's on the last year of his deal. All their big players are coming up for renewal after the 2022 season. So this year, if I don't think if they make the playoffs this year, we could see Calgary potentially be an active team at the draft, trying to unload some players, unload some salaries, see if they get some pickback. Their prospect pool is pretty horrible. I mean, the only guy they got is kind of Connor Zary. He's a good prospect. Juuso Valimaki, he's kind of fizzled out. He was a high-end prospect at one point. He's faded out. Jacob Pelche, he's a guy that I don't think he's an impact player. So the prospect pool in Calgary is very weak. And coming into a year where they have their biggest names coming up to UFA or RFA, I look for Calgary to be one of the busier teams at the draft this year if they don't make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting. I mean, we've all heard the rumors that Matthew Tkachuk's going to Ottawa, so I just can't wait for that to happen, buddy. But no, I mean, I would love it. I love it.
I think the Leafs get in that trade, and it's both Tkachuks are coming to Toronto. That's what's going to happen. Some type of three-way trade. I just got to ask you one thing. Every time to come up, do you think he's going to Toronto? Is it just me, or is it just every Leaf fan? Oh, we're getting this player. Oh, we're getting that player. We're getting this player. We're getting that. Holy Christ, you guys only have one team, eh? Not three? Yeah.
Just you and your Leaf fans. I love Turkey. It'll be interesting. You guys can't afford Matthew Tkachuk. There's no way you're getting him in there.
Well, Nylander for Tkachuk, straight up. There's the
deal.
No
way you're getting a guy like that in there.
Nylander. There's the solution.
Any GM does that. They might.
No, I know.
Yeah, that's a great solution. That's a great solution for Calgary. I mean, maybe you're going to give three for. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big. I like Nylander, but I mean,
Tkachuk's not going in. Let's be serious. Tkachuk's staying in Calgary. Tkachuk's going to be the guy they. Well,
you think he signs? He might not want to sign there.
He's an RFA though. Tkachuk is the only RFA of that group that I said.
Oh, he is.
He has to come back. Well, he doesn't have to come back to Calgary. He could force his way out, right? But I don't know. I think if Tkachuk's willing to sign there, Calgary's going to do everything they can to keep. They've got to keep Tkachuk.
I mean, maybe he only signs a 1 year. You never know. Maybe he does a Mark Stone. Stone did that in Ottawa, signed a 1 year, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And then they traded him, and so far that trade hasn't worked out too well. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'll work out long term, right? Because Stone's one of those guys. I think he's played like 9.5 a year, right? So come the back 3-4 years of that deal, he's probably not going to be a $9.5 million player anymore. So. A little short-term pain for some long-term gain for Ottawa there. I think they had to do the Stone deal, and they do get a couple picks. They get Brandstrom, right, and they get the second rounder as well. So
Sokolov there, the guy that scored the other night. So yeah. Anyways, bud, you want to move on to the next thing here? So did everybody see Gabriel on San Jose and Clifford on LA had about a 2-minute talk during the warm-up the other night? I thought it was pretty funny, and then they fought during the game, and even during when they were talking, it almost looked like they were like, "You want to go tonight?" They were almost planning it. So, and actually, I thought it was a pretty decent tilt. I thought they went for quite a while, and there were some nice punches thrown. And no, it was pretty cool to see. I like a little bit of old time hockey thrown in there. So I know you had a funny story you wanted to go on about it.
Yeah, so I remember watching Gabriel in the NHL, and he was kind of a punching bag. Like, he's always a big guy, right? But he just was never a good fighter. Like, it doesn't look like looks like he just kind of did it to kind of stick around. So he is definitely getting better at fighting. Like, he went with Ryan Reeves the other night. He stood in there with him, and not many guys do that, right? But this would have been 4 or 5 years ago now, right? Where I think I don't remember where Gabriel's playing, but they were playing Chicago, and there's a fight on the ice, and Gabriel gets in a fight with Vance Dunn. He's a little defenseman for St. Louis. So the fight goes, and it looks like a few guys jump in because of the size discrepancy, right? Gabriel's so much bigger than Dunn. So it's one of those situations where at the AHL dressing room, as you go off the dressing room, they're just like a kind of a kid's rink almost, where they're just across the hallway from each other, right? So Dunn goes off. He's going to go into the left and go to his room. Gabriel's coming off and supposed to go to the right to his room. But Gabriel misses the room and comes straight back. And you can see him and Dunn going at each other, right? And Gabriel's like 6'4", 6'5". Like, he's a really big guy. Dunn's standing there like 5'10", like if that. And you could tell they're looking at each other, and they're going at each other. They're going at each other. And out of nowhere, Dunn just comes up just with a straight right hand right to the jaw of Gabriel in the hallway of this thing, drops him down. And that had to be, I don't know, I've watched that video. It had to be something that's really embarrassing for someone that considered himself a heavyweight in this league, right? So I think he had been in the NHL at that point. But yeah, funny video, guys. If you want to go check it out on YouTube, it's just it's a short little clip, and yeah, Vince Dunn just one punches Gabriel in the hallway of an NHL game. Funny stuff.
Oh man, that's too funny. Yeah, yeah.
But
I always
that was
love
a
the
good fight the other night.
backstories and when something happens off the ice and hearing about it, right?
Yeah.
So that's always good. But
But that
all
was
right,
a good
buddy.
fight the other night, him and Clipper, though. I did like that fight.
Yeah, no, it was good. Lots of punches thrown, and I actually feel like there's been a decent amount of fights this year in the NHL. I mean, nothing
Yeah,
crazy, but compared to the last few years, I feel like it's maybe we'd have to look the numbers, but I feel like they're up. No?
Yeah, I think it's probably seeing the same team so often, right? Kind of thing. That
Yeah,
you know,
that's got something.
you know, it's not like you see it. You're not like the Leafs are going to Pittsburgh and play them twice a year, and there's not really any heat, right? If you play someone 9 times a year, you kind of grow to dislike each other a little bit, right?
Well, not only amount of times, but the amount of times in a row.
Yes.
Right? Because a lot of times you play a team and then you don't play them again, or
Mhm.
the odd time you'll play them twice in a row, but not all.
Yeah.
But in two different cities, right?
Yeah.
It's not often you play them twice in a row. You play
Mhm.
other games and whatnot,
Yeah.
right? Where now you're playing like Calgary just played Ottawa 4 times in a row, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
The other night against was it Monday night? Gabranson had a good little punt or a good little fight with Kabuli or Couture. How do you say it?
I don't know.
Couture or Kabuli? I can't pronounce his name, but
Yeah.
they'll just Don Cherry.
We botched his name like 5 times this podcast.
Yeah, I can't say that. So he had a
Kajura is his name.
Kajura, that's it.
Yeah.
They had a good fight.
Yeah.
It was all right. I know Gabranson was swinging away, and it was because he was sticking up he took a little hit at Norris. It was a little bit of a knee-to-knee. Wasn't terrible, but I love to see it because stick up for your young guys. And maybe that's one thing I want to talk about before we go. A couple times this has happened this year where Ottawa has a young team, and even young players than any other teams, but if guys are taking advantage of them, right? Oh, look at this young kid. Usually the younger, usually they weigh less. Usually they're smaller or whatever.
Mhm.
They haven't built into their bodies. So a lot of older guys sometimes will take advantage of that, right?
Yeah.
Especially a fourth liner. Hold on, I'm not letting this guy run the league, right? So
Mhm.
they might give that extra hit or whatever. And I know Stutzel's taken a ton of punishment this year, especially with high sticks. I don't know why. I swear that guy's been high stick 20 times. But these, even if you take a penalty, you need to get some of your tougher guys out there and just fight them. Do something.
Yeah.
Just say, you know what? We're not letting you push all these young guys, run all over them, right?
Mhm.
Even if it's even the odd time if it's a clean hit, but I don't know. Sometimes it's tough with a clean hit. I get it. But if the guy gets absolutely drilled, sometimes you got to grab him and just do something. You don't have to go kill the guy,
Yeah.
but just set the tone. So every time he does it, he knows he's got to, not only has he got to hit you, but he's got to
Mhm.
go look at the next guy.
Yeah.
He's got to go look at Gabranson or Watson, in
Yeah.
Ottawa. And I loved it. They took a penalty.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we were going to get I don't know if we were going to get we were going to get a power play there, but Gabranson took a penalty, so it ended up being 4-4. But I didn't mind it because now he's setting the tone. And actually, Norris went out and had his best shift of the game the next shift. So
Especially when it's a guy like Gabranson do that. Gabranson can really hurt you in a fight. Like it's not like if Watson was coming at me, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
scared of Watson. That guy can't fight for shit. But
well,
anyway,
he's a big guy, but he
Yeah.
can't fight. I don't
I
know
know.
what it is.
but if Gabranson's coming at you, I mean, next time you see Norris cutting your defenseman, you see Norris cutting through that neutral zone, you think, maybe I'm not going to do this. I know Gabranson's on the ice, and I don't want to eat a fucking punch to the face kind of thing, right? So it's the intimidation factor, kind of the game within the game, right? You just gotta, give a guy some pause to thought kind of thing. Like, when you were playing, right? Like, when there's a heavyweight out there, you always know who's on the ice at all times, but especially when the big heavyweights out there, right? You're kind of thinking, maybe I'm not going to take that extra shot at the goalie this shift because I don't want to, get jumped after the, once the whistle blows kind of thing. So,
100% you're thinking about that.
Yeah.
It's just like you say, it's the game inside the game, and it's what what keeps the game fair. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why fighting has to stay in hockey. As simple as this. If it's not there, you're going to have guys taking cheap shots, using their stick, smacking kids in the face,
Yeah.
and it will happen. I know it will.
one
So,
of the most telling things I heard about like fighting and hockey kind of thing is from an Al McInnes interview. I saw Al McInnes do a podcast, and he said they had Joey Kosher on his team, who's one of the most scariest guys in NHL history, but he wasn't a good hockey player. And Joey Kosher can even acknowledge that, right? And McInnes said, I would rather have a cutout cardboard piece of Joey Kosher stuck on our bench than the 12th forward on our team kind of thing, right? It's like he doesn't even have to come on the ice. Just him being there and looking mean and just showing the teams like, oh, if I go run Al McInnes or I hit Chris Pronger, Joey Kosher is probably coming on the ice, and I am not going to like the outcome. Actually, it was Tony Twisty said that about. Sorry, not Joey Kosher, but anyway,
I remember that guy.
that's just what it is, right? I mean, it's just kind of the game within the game, and some guys, plain and simple, some guys you don't want to mess with. Like some guys are too legit to be in the NHL.
Well, that's just it too. And nowadays, I mean, there's less of them, but because they still got to be able to play hockey, but at the same time, you still got to have those rough and tough guys.
Yeah.
You know, and it allows the other guys, like sometimes Brady Tkachuk's fighting too much, you know, and
Yeah,
they say,
for sure.
and it's like he has to fight, but maybe not so much, right? So
Yeah.
definitely something to keep in the game, but you know, it's fun to watch. I do enjoy the fights, and I think everybody does. You watch the game, if there's a fight, hey, there's a fight, let's watch it, you know. So
Yeah,
definitely fun. So you want to jump into the interview, buddy, or did you have more?
let's talk about. Do you want to just talk about a few trade? There's some rumors about Getzlaf getting traded, right? We kind of talked about Hall, Eichel, too, kind of thing. So, if you were a playoff team, who would you be going after here? Would you be going after Ryan Getzlaf, Taylor Hall, or maybe another guy like Buffalo, like Eric Stahl? Those are three pieces that could be on the move come deadline time. Which guy are you going after if you're a contending team?
So who are they? Eichel?
No, not Eichel. No. Getzlaf, Eric Stahl, or Taylor Hall. I mean, I don't think Eichel's getting moved, right? I mean, unless someone's,
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be
dropping 10 first-round picks into Buffalo. Buffalo can't move off Eichel.
Well, if you're a team like Toronto, I wouldn't go for Getzlaf. They already have enough of those players.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's the wrong piece for the puzzle. So it all depends on the team and that piece for the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of years, if you would have put Getzlaf in Toronto, maybe that's a piece that will work. But you already have Simmons, you have Spezza, and you have Thornton.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't fitting in there. There's just no way. That'd be too much age, too slow. But maybe possibly another team. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would he fit in Boston or Tampa Bay? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he's a depth guy. I don't know. But I think Stahl could be a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
He's one as well. He could, put him on the third line, maybe.
It's just three impact players potentially being moved. Like, I don't know. I'm just surprised by the Getzlaf rumors, right? I mean, Getzlaf's been, I think, a Duck for life. Brian Burke drafted him, and he won a cup there, I think, his second year. So he's been there for got to be 13, 14 years at this point, right? So, I mean, Ryan Getzlaf is a proven winner, and he's one of those guys that I would take on my team any day of the week come playoff time. I mean, he's not the guy he used to be, but if you
would you put him on Toronto? Would you want him on Toronto right now?
No, I wouldn't want him on Toronto because Toronto doesn't need that piece, right, kind of thing. And I think he's making like $8 million a year too. But
you're right. He's making that much. Still?
I think he's still on a big deal. Yeah, like I still think so.
That's a tough piece to take then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The Taylor Hall one is interesting because he's the best player right now out of the three as far as skill goes and everything like that and youth. But he has no experience. I don't even know if he's played a playoff game, has he? It seems like every team he goes to, they end up shitting the bed.
He hasn't won a round, that's for sure.
Yeah, he hasn't won a round. I don't even know if he's been in the playoffs. We'll have to look that one up. Taylor Hall been in the playoffs? Anybody know? Let us know. Call in 555-5555. Give us a call here today. No, but I don't know. I guess it depends on the team. Let's say if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, I might, probably Hall's who you're going to go for if you're going to get an AP.
Yeah,
because you already kind of have the other two. If you're a Tampa Bay or a Boston, you could lean towards the others.
Yeah.
Then again, it all depends on contracts and if you have any room and if they're going to bite any or not only that, what you have to give up too, right? So that's definitely interesting. I don't have a firm answer on that, buddy. And like I say, it depends on the team.
Yeah. Just three big names, like three proven winners. Well, not I guess Taylor Hall's not proven winners, but Stahl and Getzlaf are proven winners, right? I mean, especially every team needs depth at center comes playoffs, right? So those guys would fit in nicely as a third line center. I would love one of them in Toronto if it could fit. I mean, I don't think Kerfoot's I'll say like Kerfoot's not a third line center for a playoff team. I mean, he's just not the guy to play that kind of game, right? He's more of an offensive guy. I think for the third line Toronto, they need someone more defensively responsible than him. So in a perfect world, I'd bring a third line center in, but I think Leafs need more help on the wing right now. So, and I think Spezza or Thornton could kind of go to that third line center role too if they had to come playoff time. So
a guy like Kadri would be perfect for that position.
No, fuck! Don't get me started on that. That's the one trade I hate about Dubas. It was the worst trade he could have made.
But you know what? It was so hard it was so easy to make that trade.
Like, I know, yeah. Just coming off the suspension, right? And they wanted to make a change. And
the guys they got back was Barry, right?
It was Barry, yeah. Barry and Kerfoot.
And Barry just didn't work out. I mean, he's playing better this year.
Yeah.
He didn't live up to the hype in Toronto. And I really like Kadri. I think he's a good playoff player, but he kept getting suspended. Was it 2 years in a row he got suspended?
But that's kind of the thing where that's more on the Leafs than Kadri. I think like if the Leafs had any kind of pushback those 2 years, Kadri's not in that position where he has to take those runs at guys, right? I mean, if the Leafs have anyone, like if they have a Simmons, even a Thornton, someone or Bogosian, someone just to keep guys in line. Kadri doesn't have to be that guy, right? He can be the third or fourth tier kind of tough guy. I guess I know he's not a fighter or anything, but I think
grinder type, but
he brings the skill with the intensity, right? I think he's just caught up in the moment in that spot. The Leafs, I mean, I think the year they traded him, Marner got run in that game, and no one else was willing to do anything for it. At least Kadri's the guy that, he stepped out of his comfort zone and he ran out a big guy, and he got a suspension, and I don't think he deserved to be suspended the whole playoffs. But anyway, yeah, they should bring Kadri back. Bottom. I hated that trade so much. I was so mad about it. But
here's another thing: it's like what we talked about before with Wilson, where they play on that fine line.
Yeah.
And sometimes Kadri will play on that fine line, and he went over the line that time. But like you say, maybe if they have the proper personnel, he wouldn't have had to do that, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he did.
Yeah.
And it happened, and I think it was bad timing, and maybe it was a reaction, a knee-jerk reaction. We got to get rid of this kid. He's no good. But I think he's a great player, and I think he's going to be awesome depth for the Avalanche. And I think if the Avalanche win the Cup, I think he's going to be a good piece for it. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Just such a good contract too. I think he signed like $4.5 million, like such a value for a top six center. Like just what a good contract.
You can't beat that. I mean, I really like the kid, and you know what? A lot of people don't like him because he can be a little bit whiny or aggravate people. But
sure.
that's what makes it hard to play against.
Yeah.
And not only that, he does have skill. He's a good skill player. Is he a McDavid or Crosby? No, but he's a good depth player, second, third line center skill.
For sure.
You put the puck in the net too. So it'll be fun watching him this year in Colorado. But that's the guy that they need. They shouldn't have made that trade. Obviously, it didn't work out. But the thing is, when you're a GM, not every trade's going to work out. If you make 10 trades and 6 or 7 of them worked out, then you're probably doing a good job.
Yeah.
Right. And when you're making, more trades aren't working out that are, then you're screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think that was a situation where the Leafs just needed a right shot defenseman so badly for so many years, right? That Dubas was finally willing to pay the premium needed. Look, I mean, they're not getting Tyson Barrie unless Kadri's going the other way. Right. So he kind of said, well, okay, these are my two. I think there was a rumor that it was going to be Brody was going to come over from Calgary, but Kadri nixed the trade. He had a no trade clause, said no, he didn't want to go to Calgary. But so then they have to settle on Barrie, right? So I think that was just kind of a thing. Well, I need a right shot defenseman, and Barrie's my only real option here, and the price is Kadri, or I'm not getting him, right? So he pulls the trigger, and I like that about Dubas, right? If you need to go out and get someone, he's willing to pay the piper. I think on paper he lost that trade, and I think at the time he probably knew that, but he thought it was something he needed to do to improve his team. And, I don't like the trade, but, I like that he's willing to go out there and even lose a trade. It's not so much if you win or lose it, it's how you're helping your team in the long run. So they needed a right shot defenseman. Barrie didn't work out, and he pulled the trigger. So it is what it is. Yeah,
so it'll be interesting to see what happens. See what happens to this trade deadline, especially with bringing guys in from the States, right? Having to wait. Like, I know when Dzingel just come in, and I like that Dzingel piece. It's not. I love the trade because we got rid of 2 guys that weren't really doing anything. But it was almost 3 weeks by the time he got traded to the time he played his first game, because there's like a day or 2 before he came, and he's got to wait 14 days, and then you practice a few days. You got to get used to the systems and whatnot, get your legs back in shape, and then when do you play? Do you play the next day or 2? You know what I mean? So it's probably, I would say, you're probably in the gap of 17 to 21 days, right? So yeah. That's a decent sized gap.
Which is tough on the guy too. Like, it's hard to not play hockey. It's hard not to play a game for 3 weeks and come back and play at an NHL level, right? So I mean, not only is it hard on the team, it's hard on the players coming into it. Probably puts them in a really bad starting spot.
Oh, for sure, and confidence and everything. You got to remember, you got new teammates, you got new systems, you got new city. Is your family with you? I mean, there's so many things that come into it that people don't think about. Oh, this guy wasn't performing. Well, guess what? I mean, we're all human. Yeah. Especially now, there's COVID going on. Like Derek Stepan, I was ripping him all year, but I mean, he just had a kid, and then I don't even know if it was a week later he moves to Canada. He doesn't get to see his baby. He doesn't get to see his wife. He's in a new team. He's supposed to be this experienced player. He's not playing up to par. Like, there's all these things that come into fact. People got to think about. So I think that's one thing that's going to make it difficult this year. But I think Toronto probably should do 1 or 2 moves. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next month or 2.
For sure. Yeah, so we'll stay on that. So do you want to jump into the interview now, Brokey? Or?
Yeah, we might as well jump into the interview.
All right, guys. So we got local legend, Belleville famous, Brandon Dafoe coming up. It was a ton of fun. Lots of laughs with Dafoe. He's got a couple hilarious stories in there, actually, that, tune in and listen to it, and you guys will definitely enjoy that for sure.
And this one's for Dafoe. Dafoe! Okay, guys, enjoy the interview. Ladies and gentlemen, born and raised in Belleville, Ontario, coming out of the womb with jet black curly hair. Growing up, he played for the Belleville Bobcats, then the Quinte Red Devils, was drafted in the 9th round, 180th overall, to the OHL Erie Otters. He played a year of Major Midget, lit it up with guys like Chris Rajat, Andrew Courtney, and others. Then played a season in the OHL for the Erie Otters, where he battled mono. He played the next 3 years for the Wellington Dukes, once scoring a hat trick at family night at the Yardman Arena in front of a couple thousand fans, where after the second goal, he was absolutely smoked. Sorry, buddy. He was absolutely smoked. But then the next shift came back and scored his Belleville famous backhand deke goal. As soon as he scored the goal, he skated right off the ice, didn't even shake it by his hands in so much pain and left the rink. Where the hell was I? Since then, he's played in Wellington for 3 years. Then he played Senior A, many years lighting up men's league and ice hockey and ball hockey leagues in the area, winning a stack of championships and league scoring titles in ball hockey and ice hockey. Cough, cough, Stevie. Ladies and gentlemen, Belleville famous Brandon Dafoe. I kind of stuttered a couple times there, bud. Sorry.
Yeah. Here we go.
Here we go, bud. Here we go. So,
Off with the separated shoulder, eh?
is that what it was, or what was that? The shoulder?
Separated shoulder. You're the one that hit me, remember?
I know. It was. What was it? It was like kind of center ice, but it was like in the slot, wasn't it?
It was in the slot. It was, like you said, it was a hat trick goal after. But that one, I was cutting in the middle, and I had my head down, and I was trying to toe drag, and I didn't see you. You little came from one end to the other and crushed me. I just ended up landing on my back and separated my shoulder.
And then go out and score after, though. I remember that.
You know
Score
what
after?
It separated on that play, and I skated to the bench. And you know when you know it's hurt, it was like a shock.
Yeah.
I couldn't really move my arm, and I knew it was done. But we had intermission, and I was in the room in between, and I'm like, I know my shoulder separated, but I wanted to just try one more shift. And then it worked out that the first shift of the game, I came off the bench, and Chris OJ fed me with a breakaway pass. So I was going down the ice, and I had no arm, and I just went to my patented backhand, and it went in, and I knew right after my shoulder was done.
Yeah, they just skated around. I remember just skated right by everybody, right into the room.
For 3 months with separated shoulder.
Oh, were you out that long after?
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't even realize that. Sorry, buddy.
Was that your only hit in 4 years, Brooks, or what?
Well, I was only 17 then, so I was, we were in the big. That was a big game back then between Trenton and Wellington, right? Like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You used to get a couple thousand. It used to be a good crowd, and I know we always look forward to that, right? And back then, the rivalries were big between Trenton and Wellington. I don't know what they're like now. They're not near as much, but.
Oh no, you get pumped up that day for that, and then
Yeah.
We won the game, so that's all that really mattered. But
yeah, you guys beat us like 5-2 or
my
something.
head down. You know, the worst part about it was a freaking clean hit anyway, so I couldn't even chirp you after.
Oh, I'm sure we'll get into that later, but we did get into some chirping that summer, I think it was. But we'll get into that later. So maybe just tell us a little about growing up in Belleville, play for the Bobcats, then the Red Devils. Did you have anybody like players-wise? Obviously probably Richie and other guys or coaches, that you can remember that maybe had some stories or helped you get, drafted and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess like my draft year, I played with Richie. He played up all the way up through until my draft year.
Oh, okay.
And our draft year, we had 6 or 7 guys drafted from Quinte, but we had Mike Kiley as a coach and Jimmy Richardson as their assistant coach. And Mike was pretty good. Derek Potts was our another assistant coach. And they had all played junior A hockey. So throughout, they kind of, had you getting motivated and trying to be disciplined and, trying to work out and trying to get into the game, prepare for the game before it actually happened. Although I wasn't very good at that, but no, I'll never forget that we were in a Halifax tournament, and we were told by Mike Kiley, if you guys ever want to get drafted or play in the show or even play pro at all, there's a guy in this tournament named Sidney Crosby, and he'll be in this tournament, and there will be thousands of scouts in the stands. So we actually ended up winning the tournament that year, but we never played against Sidney Crosby himself, but he was in the tournament. and he was unbelievable. Like, he was 2 years younger than us, obviously, but just lit it up. And I remember looking in the stands that year, and there was like thousands of scouts just at that tournament watching Sid, obviously.
Yeah. Shit, I remember hearing about that because Andrew Courtney was on the team. So I remember Eugene. I think somebody was complaining because there might have been a couple bottles on the way home or something. But anyways, I remember hearing about that, but I didn't know Crosby was in that tournament. So that's pretty sick.
Crosby was in that tournament, yep.
So he would have been like a minor band and playing minor midget kind of thing. I think it would have
That's
been.
right. Yeah, well, he's 2 years. He's an 87. I'm an 85. So he was 2 years younger than us. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was, me and Chris Rashad, actually, he wanted me to give a shout out and said he'll sponsor this podcast. But I was talking to him earlier. Our claim to fame is me and him led the tournament that year that we won it, and Sidney Crosby was in it.
No way.
That's crazy.
He had 10 points. Yeah. I said, well, bring it out. I'll have the proof on this podcast. And he said, well, it's in my it's tucked away in his crawl space or something. I said, well, Christ, it'd be nice to have that right now. No one's going to believe it. But, yeah, no, we each had 11 points, and he had 10 in that tournament we won.
No way. We'll have to get Razzie on here maybe at some point. I know he's a busy guy. He's got a bunch of businesses and whatnot, but
yeah,
I'm sure he's got some funny stories too. So then you guys you and Razzie both came back for Major Midget, didn't you?
Yep.
So how was that, like getting drafted and then going back and maybe not playing junior A or anything? Were you guys thinking kind of that's a bit of a negative, or are you thinking it's an opportunity to play together again, or what were you thinking?
Well, in midget, like, you never would have thought that far ahead. We came back and we both lit it up, getting points every game and winning all the time. So, it was AAA it was never easy until that year. But then talk about a jump going from, midget AAA, where basically all the superstars are already in the OHL or playing junior, and you're back playing midget AAA. And then for me, I went right from midget to the OHL. So going from getting 2-3 points a game easy to lining up against Carlo Koliakovo that just played games for the Leafs. So, and having to dump it in and getting hammered all over the ice. Right? So, yeah, I don't know if that's a negative or a positive. I at the time, I would say, go where you get the ice time, go where you get, you're leaned on as a star player. But that was quite the jump for me, I remember.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's funny, right? Like going from like playing, against guys that are kind of like I play Major Midget too, but you're right. Like all the top guys the year before are all gone for the most part, the high end guys, right? Like Richie's not coming back. He's in the OHL. And then going to Major Midget, you're the star. And then the next year you go there and you're playing against guys who had just played in the NHL too, right? Like come back. So that's definitely cool. So maybe tell us a bit about the Erie experience and how much and what all happened there and what was like being there for a year.
Oh, it was awesome. It was quite the experience. I remember I didn't think I was going to make the team, but I showed up to training camp. I was like a 9th round guy, so mid-pack guy, and I was lighting it up in training camp. I had a first exhibition game I scored, my only goal in my whole OHL experience, and I got in a fight with Logan Hunter, which is Dale Hunter's nephew, and he kicked the living shit out of me. So that was a good start, meeting my billet parents with a big goose egg on my head. And he absolutely pounded me. But then I got mono. So I started the year with, like, in the hospital and then trying to get back in shape, playing against, 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds. Like, we're talking about, like, Wellwood, Richards, Roy, like, you name it, these studs that played in the NHL for years to come. I was kind of feeling out of my league there, but I remember a funny story about just Rashad wanted me to tell this one because it's it just sums up kind of my OHL year in Erie. So we're playing against Kitchener, and they end up winning the Mem Cup that year, and we're down 2-1 going in the third, and the whole second period, I never got a shift. So I'm thinking 2-1, we're on the fourth line. I'm not getting shifted here. And I just got these custom skates, these Bauer custom skates that weren't fitting my feet right. So long story short is I was kind of fat and out of shape back then. So we in Erie, you'd have all you could eat. You'd have, like, Nutrigrain bars and all this stuff in between in between periods, you could snack on oranges, apples, Gatorades. So I remember sitting talking to the Euro, and he could barely speak. And I said, I'm putting these Nutrigrain bars into my skates. I'm loosening my skates because we're not getting any joking around, right? So it's like, there's no way am I getting on the ice. So I put 2 Nutrigrain bars, Apple, into my skate.
I love how you know the name of it too, the brand Apple.
I had fucking blisters on my feet, so I'm like, there's no way am I getting out there. I'm a fat kid, and I'm fucking hungry. So we're in the game, and I'm like, oh, this will be a good time. I don't even know why. You never do it now, but I took a Nutrient bar, and I'm eating it. And then the whistle blows, and Dave McQueen goes, Dafoe, Galasek, and Holoka was my line. You guys are out there. And I'm like, holy fuck. So I'll never forget it. My one skate was half untied. I had to throw a half-eaten Nutrigrain bar and a full one on the bench, like in Erie. And I had to jump out there and call time and do up my skate. I'm like, what a friggin'. And then after the game, we lost. And Dave McQueen, our coach for Dave McQueen and Peter Storkwitz, Sherry Basson was the GM. And Dave McQueen, he had a real deep voice. And after we ended up losing 3-1, never got scored on that shift, thank God, though. And he goes, you fucking assholes. He goes, who the fuck was eating the Nutrigrain bars on the bench? And I'll never forget that. My face went beat red. I never owned it, though. They're like,
so nobody ratted you out or nothing,
I
eh?
just found that out, yeah.
No one said that. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That's fucking good.
I love how you do the kind though. That's the best part.
Oh, yeah. Apple, they're the best.
So what was it like living there though, like with billets and everything? Like, was it totally different experience? Because it's a bit different than around here, isn't it? Or
Yeah, you had to be 21 to drink there too, right?
Sorry, go ahead, Flem.
You had to be 21 to drink there too, right? So
You had to be 21 to drink, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I was 17, so I wasn't really – we didn't drink that much here and there. My roommate – so when I was there, I got lucky because I live with a rich family. So my house, we had 9 bathrooms. 8 bedrooms. So in my bedroom, I had a bathroom, and then I could go out my window onto like a balcony in my bedroom, and it was the Boroways. And I remember, I'll never forget it. So my experience was, I got spoiled rotten. But halfway through the year, I remember Matt Lynn, sorry, he got sent home from Bowling Greens, and he was a billet to live with me. So as a 19-year-old, he got in trouble in Bowling Green. So it was quite the rest of the year, to say the least. He was quite the partier, and he was hilarious. He was
bringing you into the dirty areas, I guess, a little bit.
Dirty areas, and yeah. And he always, like, all the boys loved him. He was just one of those team guys that was more into the partying and, you know, that lifestyle than the hockey. So
What did the family do to have 9 bathrooms? That's insane.
he owned Erie Insurance, so he was a manager of like this massive insurance company.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Erie, and he was a beauty. He was 51 and she was 33, and they were both just specimens, right? So you're always thinking that she was a gold digger. Actually, the story goes on. It's kind of funny because Matt Lynn ended up getting kicked out of the house. Once we got beat out, I came home to finish school here, and he called me like a month later and said that he got kicked out of that house too. He was a character because he tried to wheel the billet mom. So
Jesus. Do you remember when you came home though? I never met you before. Do you remember you were like what do you call it? Like a helper in my tech class. Do you remember that?
I was your student helper for tech.
Yeah, like a student helper. I'm like, who's this guy coming in? Like, he looks way older than us. We're only like grade 9 or whatever, grade 10.
Galloway.
Yeah, that's right. That's so long ago. And then you're like, oh, I just came back from playing the OHL. I'm like, no way. I didn't know who you were at the time, right? Because you weren't there the rest of like I just came to Quinny, right? So
yeah.
And then things kind of changed. Well, then you go to Wellington and play 3 years there for Marty Abrams and Lavender was up there. And you guys had a sick team that, would have been your third year, my first year playing. I always thought that was a sick team you guys had, though. You guys had like Joe Hall, Scotty Fleming, OJ, Chainbow Lyons.
Yeah.
Ian Miracle.
Ian Miracle was on that team.
Yeah.
Like what was Wellington like? Like, what was Marty like?
Oh, Marty, he's hilarious. But me and him butt heads with everybody else. So he was a great coach, but he was just a prick. Like he would come in and I remember him going around around the dressing room, you'd be winning or losing, and he'd go around the dressing room and we'd be like, he sucks. I don't even know why you play. Embarrassing. Just go home and kiss your mother. Like he would just say the most ruthless shit ever. Oh, he's trying. At least it'd be like anyways, a rookie. To a rookie, he'd be like, wow, you know what? He's out on the ice. At least he's trying. I mean, he sucks, but at least he's trying. So just go and just embarrass each player. So.
And what do the guys feel about like that? Like everyone, like that's just, I don't know. I feel like that's such an old school way to do it, right?
Oh yeah. I don't know how. Like this day and age, I don't know if you get away with it anymore because, like some of the ruthless shit he would say, like I don't think it would fly. Too many phones, too much social media, right? Like he would be.
Yeah, you get caught or something.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna tape him because he screwed him over, so I'm gonna tape him, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And not only that, guys are softer now than they were fucking 15 years ago, even 20 years ago, right? Like you start chirping guys back then, it might motivate them a bit. Oh, I got to be better. Where now it's like, I don't know, the way kids are raised, it's like, oh, no, I'm not going to fucking play now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, he made fun of me or whatever, right? So.
Yeah, like there'd be harassment complaints and everything.
And who would have been fun to play with in Wellington? Like you would have hung out with OJ, Chambo, Lyons.
Oh yeah.
That would have been quite the crew.
That was quite the crew, yeah. Oh, Chamberlain. That was so my carpool was you had Nathan Moon on there the other day and he was I used to pick him up from school early and call him over the PA and tell him to come down, get out of class early. But no, my carpool was Warren Cooper, Lyons, Oj, and Chambo. And Chambo and Oj were hilarious because they were best buddies all the way through. And like Oj became a better player. He got drafted Blackhawks and blah, blah, blah. But like you said in one of your podcasts, Chambo was always like the stud growing up. Like he was supposed to be the next Richie. And then he just fell off. His wheels fell off. But they used to go at it all the time in practice. And then after, on the way home, me and Lyons would be driving. We'd have to pull the car over half the time because they'd be in a fist fight in the back seat, punching each other in the face, headlocking each other, spitting on each other. It was just classic. It was just their best buddies.
That's too funny. So who to maybe talk about some players that you would have, growing up, whether it was, AAA or even in the OHL, who you would have played against that would have been unreal?
Well, the best player I've ever seen live, like other than Rich, he's unreal. And like I played against all the way up. I played against Corey Perry all the way through, and he absolutely lit us up. Like Tim Rashad used to call him. He was their assistant coach. Call him Pecker with ears. Hit that Pecker with ears. But you wouldn't really notice him out on the ice. Like literally, you'd be like, "Who's this Corey Perry guy?" But then after the game, you'd lose 6-2, and he'd have 4 goals and 2 assists. You know what I mean? Like he was just always. He never really like carried the puck up. They had a couple guys, Prentice and Bitterelli, that I thought was a better player to play against. But then at the end of the game, at the end of the year, Perry had 100-some points. So proof's in the pudding. But you didn't really notice him out on the ice to play against. You just always on the score sheet, right? Kyle Wellwood, I'll never forget. I can't remember his goal in junior in World Juniors where he was on his knee. He scored. Yeah, remember that one? I can't remember what tournament, what year that was. Everything blends into one nowadays. But he scored, honestly, the exact same goal against us when I was in Erie. And he was playing for Guelph, I want to say, or Kitchener. This is bad, too. I can't remember the name of the team.
Where did he go after?
He traded, remember, from Belleville? Windsor. Sorry,
Windsor.
Windsor.
He got traded for Spezza. Yeah. So we were playing in Erie. And I'll never forget it because I went to school with Wellwood. I was younger than him. I was grade 9. And I remember him walking around Quinny. He had this little baby face and it was just this little like pork chop. And I was like, this guy's not, there's no way this is Kyle Wellwood. Like he just a milk bag. And he got on the ice. I'll never forget it in Erie. And he grabbed the puck and he just kind of did his like his little water beetle through the neutral zone, kind of got through. And then all of a sudden, like he had an opening through the D. Somehow it just broke up, and he's on a breakaway. Well, he kind of came in like that, and he got tripped up, and he was down on one knee, and he did the down on one knee and around like that, all on his one knee, and wide open net score. I never saw anything like it in my life. It was just like, it was better than a road hockey goal, but he's playing in the OHL against 5,000-6,000 people Erie had or whatever. Just unbelievable.
So he was probably one of those guys. Like, was he like a Phil Kessel type, where you look at him like, this guy doesn't play hockey, right? Like,
Well,
and then they go out and they light it up. You're like, how the fuck does this guy do this?
Yeah, every time. Well, I remember even watching him in Belleville before he got like Spezza was obviously like that too, but he was, for me, I just idolized him because the way he kind of looked. He wasn't very big. He was never in good shape. He just kind of never got hit, but he always just kind of skated around. His shot was terrible, but he always scored. Like his wrist shot always flipped. Like he had nothing, he had no power in anything, but he was just unbelievable. Like his hands.
Yeah, and he knew where to place it, right? Like he's placing the shot every time.
Yeah.
He's not shooting to shoot like to through the goal. He's just hitting pockets, right? So.
Yeah, literally, like half his goals were over the glove, and the goalie didn't move. But I'm like, he flicked it. I don't know. Him and I would say though, honestly, Derek Roy in Kitchener that year, just because that was the year when they were in our division, we played them 4 or 5 times. Like he would get the puck behind the net or whenever he had it, and it was just like, woof, and it was like everyone else was standing still, and it was just like there was 10 feet or 12 feet of separation instantly as soon as he got it. That first stride he had was just explosive. So to play against Blythe, he would have probably been the best, I would say.
Hey Dave, going into your OHL draft year, were you thinking you're going to get drafted coming out of Quinny? And then when you do get drafted to Erie, what are you thinking? Because like they got to be the only team in the U.S. at that point, right? So all your buddies are probably staying local in Ontario. Were you a little frustrated to go to Erie, or?
No, actually, you know what? The way my mind goes, I don't really think about things until they happen. So it was a funny story because the Pete's actually had been calling me a week before, and they said that they'll take me in the 6th round kind of thing. If I'm not gone by the 6th round, then they'll take me. So I always thought I was going to be around the local area, and I knew James Boyd and the Bulls, and I figured, I knew I was on the draft list, and I was kind of rated right around where I went, anywhere from 6 till 10. So I figured the Bulls might take me, but it's funny when after the 6th round went and the Pete's never took me, I was playing baseball, EOB at the time, and I was like, fuck this, I'm not even going to go. So I was frustrated with that. So I just left the house and went and played baseball. So my mom comes running to me, I'll never forget, on the baseball field, and she says, Brad Richardson just called, and Brad called me because he went in the 1st round. He called my parents to tell my parents that I got drafted and to congratulate me. So I didn't even know from the team or Sherry Basson, because I just left. I was just like, screw this. Like, I'm going to play baseball. I'm not going to get drafted. I'm not going to sit here and watch me just slip through, right? So it was actually Brad Richardson that called my parents to tell me that it was drafted. So.
Oh, that's kind of funny. That's kind of like the Mooner thing too. Mooner said something similar where like he thought he was going to go earlier, so he left the house, right?
Yeah,
and that's one of those things where it can be frustrating when you think you're going to get drafted or going to be at a certain spot, and then you're not. Like, what's going? You know what I mean? It's going through your head. It's like, screw everybody. Like, what's you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's just totally it, right? You're like, well, you think you're going to go in this round, and then once that goes by, you're like, well, I'm going to sit around and get depressed that I'm not getting drafted, right?
Yeah.
I think I already am. So, no, going to Erie was awesome. I wish I was a little healthier. Obviously, because I got mono and it kind of was sick the whole year. But the experience there itself was cool. Like going to school, like going through metal detectors into school, and there's like, I don't even know how many thousands of people were at McDowell High School. It was like, I remember the high school football game there was 10,000 people to a buyout for a high school.
That's like, unreal.
And
that would be sick to play in.
10 people, and it was your mom, dad, and your like your girlfriend or something, That was all, or a cousin, They had 10,000 people at these football games.
Holy shit, yeah.
That speaks how different it is in the States, right? Because they love fucking college football and high school football and all that shit, right?
They absolutely love it. They breathe it. Like, we went to the game. It was the coolest thing I remember going to it. McDowell was playing the prep school. There was a rival or whatever. And the cheerleaders were there. It was honestly just like a Friday Night Lights, you watch movies or whatever. It's like, it was surreal. Like, the football was so much bigger than the hockey. Like in Erie, they had 5,000-6,000 people at the games, which is great, but it was nothing compared to the high school sports.
I actually watched that movie like 2 days ago too. Friday Night Lights, so sick. With who's the coach? Billy Bob or Billy Bob Thornton?
Thornton, or was that saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
Billy Bob Thornton, that guy, fucking
Billy Bob.
sick movie though, but they're nuts. They're just insane, right? Like
Yeah.
football's your sport. So I just noticed, and I kind of forgot about this, but what's up with the tooth, buddy? Hey, you got the beautiful smile now. Maybe you should tell us about that.
Well, it's that was when I was 14. So the story goes, I guess, the Ultimate Hockey School, John Volpe. I don't know if you used to go to those, bro.
Oh man, I just thought of a story. Okay, we'll tell it after. Tell it after.
Okay, I'll remember it. Anyway, so we're the Ultimate Hockey School, and it's our last year. I'm 14. So me, Chris Newitt, Rashad, like all these guys are in this hockey school, and we thought we were big wheels. So we took our cages off because we didn't have to wear a cage anymore. So we're wearing our visor. And really good buddy of mine at the time, well, still is, I guess, Chris Newitt. He got drafted to Mississauga Ice Dogs, and I'll tell you why that pertains in a bit. Me and him would go right at it. Like he was just a rugged, like hard-nosed, old-school defenseman. And I used to be a pretty good hitter back in the day too. So I remember he got the puck and he was carrying it out of his end in hockey school, and I took a run at him from the blue line on and was just trying to take his head off because that's what buddies do at 14 years old. And he got his shoulder up and knocked my tooth out. So like straight out. So long story short, I'm waiting to April. I got an implant and I have a new pearly white here soon, hopefully. But the story goes on is what buddies do to each other. So he knocks my tooth out. So me and him battled, like our whole lives we were battling, like playing pranks on each other. So my draft year and his draft year, and all Richie's draft year in AAA, Don Cherry used to come to all the games. And it wasn't for Richie, it was for Chris Newitt, because big Don Cherry loved old school Chris Newitt's hockey style. You know, he was hard out of the zone. You know, he could hit, you know, if he'd fight if he wanted to, kind of guy. So about a month before the draft, I used to prank call Newitt all the time. And I would say, hey, it's Chris Newitt there. This is Don Cherry calling. I'm really sick of your play. You're playing like a friggin' pussy. And hang up. And I would just call him Tillywinks, and I'd say, I don't like how you play. You look like you're playing Tillywinks out there. You know, and I did it like 5 or 6 times, and I just hang up on him, and he was getting fucking pissed. Rightfully so. So no word of a lie, draft year day, Don Cherry calls Chris Newitt on the phone, and he goes, fuck off, Dafoe. And he hangs up on Cherry.
No way.
And then he felt like a fucking idiot. He was mad at me over that forever, and I was just done.
Oh. So how did he find out that it was actually Don Cherry, though?
What's that? Because Don Cherry found the Mississauga Ice Dogs.
Oh, yeah. So then they later said, hey, that was us on the phone? Or?
Oh, you know, he called him back. And then he called him back again, and then realized, like, this is not Dafoe doing this. Like, I can't talk like Don Cherry. Like,
yeah.
This is actually what we're talking about. So he said,
man.
Completed. Yeah, he told Don Cherry, fuck you, Dafoe, hung up.
That's so funny.
And he ended up, was that before? Like, he ended up getting drafted there, you said?
Yeah, he went 9th round. He went, first round first pick in 9th round to Mississauga.
Oh, okay. So just, so what, like right before you or whatever, right?
Yeah, 20 picks before me. He just asked me, I'll tell you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Also, that's one of those things. Yeah, because he played for Trenton. I remember him playing for Trenton, and then he just kind of shut her down. Didn't he do it?
Yeah, he was hurt and injury prone, and I mean we're not as close as we used to be, but I'd like to have a beer with him. But he shut her down after Trenton, but he was pretty good when he was younger for sure.
No, I got a funny.
He was a man as a kid, and then just kind of hit puberty early, and then but
anyway. Yeah, I didn't grow as much. But I just thought of a story that I didn't think of before you came on. You brought up Bolt's what do you call it? Bolt's coaching or
Bolt's hockey school.
What do you call it? Hockey school. I used to go to that every year, right? But obviously I was younger than you guys. Do you remember the one year me, you, and Andrew Courtney helped out? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So you helped out, and I remember Bolt's would always talk us up, right? So we'd ride together. And then that year, Bolt's is like, I'm playing for Wellington. You and Andrew were playing for the Bulls. None of us played for those teams that year, but he's telling all the kids that. But the fucking funniest thing we used to play Bulldog, and the kids would skate by us and we'd shoot pucks and try to like pass it, hit their ankle. And I fucking smoked one kid in the leg. And the fucking dad came over and started losing on you. He thought you hit him. Like, what the fuck? I never hit him. I'm hiding in the corner trying not to laugh.
Yeah, you took a
Oh,
high
shit,
hot sauce at a guy's ankle. I remember that was in Trent.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, shut up.
I think it hit off a puck or something and like flicked up. I don't know, but I didn't obviously mean to do it. But man, the funniest part was the dad comes around and starts losing on you. Holy fuck, that was too funny.
British Bulldog. That was my favorite game.
Yeah, you got to skate by, and if you don't get hit or you get hit, you're done or whatever.
Yeah, you're supposed to keep the puck on the ice, not foot in the air. Like,
I was just trying to get all the kids out, buddy. Hey, what do you mean? I didn't do it. You did it. All right. Where are we at now? I forgot where I was.
You got
yeah, go ahead, buddy.
So you had a couple games with Belleville in the OHL, right? Your second year. Was that how cool was that being a Belleville boy? And was that something you enjoyed?
Oh yeah, that was very cool. I 2 games actually. Yeah. So I was actually pumped right up the whole day for that. And I'm not a fighter, but I remember not even really thinking about the game going on the ice, and I never even got to fight. But I just wanted to do something for the fans or for whoever, right? For my parents or for anybody watching. We were going around trying to fight Griffin and Malcolm Hott, and I was trying to like just get it going. But no, it was pretty cool, very cool. Andrew Brown was the captain that year. Yeah, no, yeah.
So how'd that work? They just call you up in Wellington that year? Is that how that worked?
Actually, I got traded. I got traded from Erie to Belleville, and my bad shoulder from thanks Brokey from in Trenton there. When I got traded the next year, the first it was exhibition game, traded in the summer. Yeah, in an exhibition game, Malcolm Hutt separated my shoulder again, so I was down on rehab to get healthy from Wellington, and then I got called up.
Okay.
Games and didn't sticker. That was the years where Bolesky and Matthias and the rebuilds. So, but no,
and then they went on to have
pretty cool feeling playing also.
For sure, yeah.
Do you remember the Otters story? You had a party and somehow I ended up putting the jersey on, and I went upstairs, and you're in the hot tub, and I'm like, "Oh, Dafoe, I'm coming in." You were so pissed. You wanted to kill me. You jump in this hot tub with a jersey on, I'm going to kill you.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Sausage hands, crush hot dogs, and eat burgers and ketchup. And
oh, they weren't that bad. I wasn't going in, but I thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah. You were sitting. Well, I was
should have signed it for you. Eh?
You kept coming on. It was at my house, at my own party there. Yeah, you put on my jersey and you said you're going to jump in the chlorine with it. Remember?
Yeah, you were like, "Oh, quit! I'm going to kill you." So probably like this has probably got to be one of your best days. Is obviously your best buddies with Brad Richardson, the big BR, and who went with you? You, Razzie, and who's the third guy? There's the third guy, wasn't there?
And Mitch Gaylord went. So we were in Tweed.
Mitch Gaylord.
Yeah, played for Trenton too. Good hockey player.
Yeah, but you guys went down and watched Richie win the cup and went out partying after with the whole LA team and everything.
Yeah, New Jersey. It was friggin' surreal. So I remember Richie calling Raz. We were in Tweed at a party, and he called and he said, "We're winning it tomorrow night." And they lost Game 5. Game 6 was in LA, and he says, "Razzie, we're winning it tomorrow. Whoever you want to come down, get down here because we're winning the cup tomorrow night. If you should come down." So Raz's like, "Well, Mitch and Dafoe right now." He's like, "Bring them down." So we're like, "Fucking right." So we ended up I took a cab home. We pack our shit up, get our tickets, get on the plane, show up to the game, and it was unreal. We had VIP passes to on top of the Staples Center. In between periods, we're crushing pints and tequila shots and food in the players' lounge with all like the wives and fans and or not fans but family members, and it was unreal. We got a bracelet after they won the game. I'll never forget this. Richie's texting us going, "Boys, when I let you know, meet me at the door and I'll let you in." So we got in, he got us in, snuck us in somehow into the room right after when it was just all players. And we're sitting in the corner and they're all drinking and we're all drinking the beers and, me, Kurt, Chris Shot and Mitch. And like, there's like, tubs of like whatever you want to drink. Like you just, the sky's the limit. But I'll never forget it because they had all these beers and they were bringing in another tub for beers coming in, but they ran out just for that split second. And Jonathan Quick had just won the Conn Smythe Trophy, like goalie of the year, like he won them the friggin', Stanley Cup. And Kurt, you gotta know Kurt, Brad's brother. Well, you know Kurt.
Yeah.
Kurt's Kurt. So he's sitting there, and Quick, I remember going, "Fuck!" He goes, "You think the Conn Smythe guy could get a beer around here?" And there was one beer left for, like I said, like a split second. So Kurt reaches over into the bucket, grabs a beer, looks right at him, snaps a beer, and chugs the beer. I never forget that. Are you kidding me? Like, we shouldn't even be in here. This guy just wants constantly chugs his beer.
I'm surprised he's not like, get that fucker out of here.
I don't even know what happened. It just turned into like, what the fuck? Like, it's just like, and then a whole other tub of beers came in, and then the night went on, right? But it was so cool. We're taking an elevator up to the top. And they give us these like VIP bracelets, and they give you like I don't know, like probably like a $500 cigar or $100, $1,000 cigar. So we're smoking these stogies like we're these celebs. And Mitch Gaylord, we're sitting there smoking the stogie, and Matthew Perry, our friends, Chandler, is sitting there, and Mitch is like, oh my god, it's fucking Chandler, man. It's Chandler. We're like supposedly, we're obviously not celebrities, we're just nobodies, but like blend in, right? So he's sitting there and he's like, I gotta say something to him. He's getting all nervous. He's kind of like getting jittery. It's gonna be great. So I'm like 10 feet away from Chandler, and all of a sudden you see Mitch go over there, and then you see like Matt Perry go like that, and then Mitch go, and we're like, what the fuck happened there? He goes, I fucked up, man. We're like, what'd you say? Instead of saying, hey man, I always wanted to meet you, he goes, I went up to him and knocked on his shoulder and said, hey man, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You're way funnier than Joey on Friends. And he says, I gotta go on my cloud, and I'll show you the picture. I'll send it to you because it's funny. It's like I took a picture of it. It's just like a picture says 1,000 words. It's him saying that, and like him just looking at him like, are you kidding me? Like, we're supposed to be here, like,
blend in and stuff. That's too funny though.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no, that was. And then we did that. We stayed on there, and then we went to some after-hours bar. That's where I got the picture taken with the cup. It was just a blur, basically. Wish they kind of toned her down on the beers a little bit more so I could remember most of the night. But I do remember Jerry D and Cabby being there and talking to them. And I have a memory of Drew Doughty. I remember hearing all the stories about how Drew Doughty's like this wild man, and like he's an unreal hockey player, obviously, but how he's like he lets loose, eh? And I remember being at this after-hours party and seeing him with a 40 Creek of whiskey on top of the bar doing like a windmill and just chugging the 40 Creek. I was like, this guy's hilarious. Like, so
holy shit. So what did they do? Did they have like a club or something like to go to after the Kings? Or
well,
what did they do after they left the room?
After the room, we ended up going to we stayed at the room, and then we took an elevator from the room up on top of the Staples Center where they had like a
that's where they had it. Oh, okay.
That's where Matt, the Chandler and everything.
Oh,
so
okay, yeah.
And all the family and players and everything on top of the Staples Center. Like, it's just like a massive bar. So we hung out there for hours, I think, and then we ended up at this after-hours party, like a VIP, and that's where Doughty was doing the windmill, and that's where I got the cup in the air, which I guess I didn't even realize. Like, I should have known. I didn't even know that you're not supposed to do that. Like, unwritten rule, unless you win the Stanley Cup, you're not supposed to raise it over your head. So,
we did that at Shazi's cup party. Shazi had the cup party, and we went to the after party. And Shazi, because he was with it all day, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
The cup guy wasn't around. He came in a different car than Andrew.
Yeah.
And we got there early with Andrew. And I remember Andrew going, "Where's the cup guy?" I forget his name. It wasn't Philip, or it wasn't Philip Pritchard. It was the other guy. And And somebody's like, oh, he's not here yet. So Andrew just put it on the ping pong table and walked away. And about 10 of us got pictures of the couple over our head. Well, you're not supposed to, like you say. If the cup guy's there, they won't usually allow it, right?
Yeah.
They don't like that. They'll let you drink out of it. But the funniest thing from that, I remember watching it live when Richie won it, was what was it like? You wouldn't have seen it because you didn't watch it live, or you didn't watch it on TV. Sorry, it was like, hey, little tease, it's coming in hot or something.
I do remember that.
Yeah, he's like, little tease, because Little Texas was the fucking bomb back then, right? Everybody went to Little Texas. Little tease is coming in hot. It was something like that.
Yeah, it was.
And then he had the cup party at you would have been there. It was at the Cove, right? In Belleville.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I remember Hawk and I snuck in somehow. We knew Richie, but I don't know. I wasn't that close with him. And it was funny. But he had to leave because he said that on TV about Little Texas. I guess he left for like 20 minutes and just did a quick lap inside Little Texas just because he said he was going there, right? But the party was at the Cove.
Yeah.
He kind of had to. Yeah.
What a bar that was.
There's a guy we got to try to get on, Flat. Hey, one of these days we get a little bigger. What do you think, Richie? We'll get Richie on here.
Yeah, maybe I'll post. It's like folklore in my family that I'm like fourth cousins with Brad Richardson. So like I've never even met him, but like my grandparents talk about it every time at family reunion shit. So maybe I'll see if I can pull some strings. Yeah.
Yeah. Throw the baby.
The thing is, like, my grandma's like his like sister, or like, I don't know. It's really far removed, but see what we can do.
What was it like playing with him in minor midget? Oh, like, I guess it was just a 1 year, right? Like, was he just that nasty?
Yeah, he was just so smart, right? Like, he's just so smooth. Like, I always describe him like his hockey sense was just to the next level. Like, I always found with Brad, like, he never really had like this elusive moves or like you dazzle you with anything, but no one was ever around him. Like, he always had like the Pierre McGuire escapability. You know what I mean? Like, he always had separation from everybody. And he just seemed to always be open. You know what I mean? Like, he's just one of those guys that just, like, as the game elevated, he elevated, you know? Yeah, he was good. Just so smart with the puck. He always knew where to go, offensive, defensively. I always tell the story with Brad, like, the most amazing thing, like, his career has been unbelievable, but, I mean, like, when he played AAA, he was the offensive stud. Even in the OHL, like, he was third that year, 1 year in scoring. He wasn't a defensive specialist at all. Like, he was pure offense, pure power play. And then now he's made a career from being a penalty kill specialist. Like, he just changed his whole game completely to keep playing year after year in the NHL. It's pretty incredible. 35, 36, I think he's 36 years old now. And he's still playing. It's strong. Like, every year it's like he seems to get better instead of worse, right? Like,
yeah, no, and like you say, it's got to be his 15th, 16th year in the league. Like, that's pretty good to do. Not many guys can do that, right? Not many guys last 10 years. So, and he's won a cup, and I mean, he doesn't have huge numbers or nothing, but he's been a part of every team, right? So,
yeah. Well, and then I went down to see him. We went down a road trip a couple years ago, and when he was in Arizona, and they were calling him Dad on the team. Like, the boys were calling him Dad. So, like,
old.
Yeah, he's like so respected. Everywhere he goes, he's like the player coach, basically.
Well, that's good. Good for him. So, I got a couple funny things for you here, buddy. Just a couple things. I heard you're like a world beanbag toss champion. Is that true? Did you win some tournament or something?
Oh, I wouldn't say it was world. It was,
okay.
That's actually the trip we went down to see Richie.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah, we went down and we watched. We went to an NFL game and we did with me and Lou Gaylord. We got into a beanbag tournament, like a beer, like, what's it called, tailgate tournament before the NFL game, and we ended up winning it. Me and Lou Gaylord won it. So I don't know if it's a world or it was just for the parking lot, but we definitely won down there.
Well, that's pretty sick. Yeah, we should get one of those tournaments. I was telling Flem we should do one of those tournaments. I actually played a lot with my you were over the one time, Dafoe. We were playing the beanbag toss.
Cornhole, yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Cornhole, yeah, or whatever you want to call it.
It's best,
It's a fun game. I like it just because, you can sit there, have beers, and then I like it better than washers though, because you can knock a guy off or knock someone in the hole, and you got to get the exact score. But maybe we'll look into that, Flem.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so funny, another funny story. So, is it true that on a bonus question of a geography exam, it said name 3 famous deserts, and you put cake, pie, and ice cream?
That was my. I wish. I wish
Because you guys said desserts or something.
That was actually Dave Amy.
Was it Dave?
Dave
Somebody told me it was you.
Because he was in awe. He couldn't believe that it was such an easy bonus question. He's like, I was gonna there's no room for lemon meringue or like a classic butter tart for I could have put 3 or 4 more desserts, and like Scotty Kerr's like, man, you're in geography. Not desserts. Oh yeah. No, I take credit for that. I've been full of shit, that's for sure. But
oh man, that's too funny. What would you miss more looking back at the old bar days in Bell Vegas? Little Texas or little T's, like Richie would say, or top bar at MJ's?
Top bar at MJ's.
Top bar at MJ's. Freeland pouring you drinks, keep paying for one, getting about 4.
Oh yeah, putting a 20 down and giving a $2 tip and giving 18 drafts.
Yeah.
Freeland serving you. Little true sport up top there. I love that.
So one thing we didn't talk anything about. You played a few years senior A, didn't you?
Yeah, probably 5 or 6 years at least.
Oh, did you play that much?
Yeah, I played 3 or 4, 3, 4, 5 in Frankfurt, and then 2 or 3 in Baltimore. I can't remember. Yeah, probably 6 years or so.
So what was that like? Play anybody good or?
Oh yeah, it was actually. You know what? The first year I played, it was watered down. Freeland actually won the scoring title that year, and overall, I was up there that year too. But it got my second or third year. Dundas came in, real McCoys, like Matthew Barnaby played, Dave Smith. There was ex-AHL players, a couple ex-NHL players, and it got really good there for a couple years, and now it got watered down again. But it was like old school hockey though. It was like you take it wide against a couple of those old D, and you better have your slash guards on because you're getting chopped with the old Sherwood 50-30. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It was you're like a boy out there. I remember playing and getting like just manhandled. Like the skill obviously wasn't there like in the junior, but like in the corners, it was tough winning battles. You were playing against men. Guys that really wanted it, right? Still, like they're like 40 and they still love the game so much that they're not losing a battle to a kid. You know, it was fun though. Really good time actually.
Now, was it like
a lot of fights in that league?
What's that, sorry?
Was there a lot of fights in that league?
There was enough fights, yeah. I'll never forget Mark Goody's fight. I forget who he fought. He fought the big goon from Norwood, and it was awesome. He just worked him around. Not Mark, Matt. Sorry,
Matt Goody. Yeah, I knew who you're talking about. Yeah.
Just pounded this guy. It was unbelievable.
So was Matt on your team?
It was probably about every third or fourth game there'd be a fight. So
okay. So nothing crazy, but they were definitely there. But over in because we don't really have much of that around here anymore, eh? That senior A, like there isn't. Kind of got to go to Toronto or Whitby or.
Yeah.
But over in Newfoundland, it's friggin' huge over there. Like they get a couple thousand a games. Guys get paid to play. The one guy I forget who it was, and he was saying he could make more playing senior A in Newfoundland than playing in one of those minor pro leagues in the States.
That's crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, because there's so many fans would go, right? And like that's their thing. And I think it's like Newfoundland's kind of like an old school type of way of living, right? Like old school, like because back in the day, the Belleville McFarlands that won the Worlds, that's senior A, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of different, but kind of cool then. And was it like a lot of beer drinking things, like parties after, or what was that like?
We'd take a school bus. Guys are pissing in bottles on the way home, like. I remember, in Baltimore, the one guy on the team, fucking terrible with names. He was our goon. He owned not the corral, but right beside it in Oshawa. He owned the bar. So if we play away, if we play Dundas or, you know, anywhere Whippy, anywhere where we had to go back, we would stop, the bus would stop, and they give you an hour and a half, be back on the bus in an hour and a half. So most like trips on the weekends, on the way home, we would stop for, like, you know, at a watering hole for a few beers and like drink all the way home, you know. Some guys would drink on the way to the game, like Marshall and like guys like that. I've definitely had drinks and played hockey, but I don't know how these guys would do it. You know, it's 10 beers before the game, get out there and wonder why it's fucking brutal. Or fall over the place or angry, you know. So
That's unreal though, because
it's just like an old boys club, you know.
Yeah, but they're still going hard. It's the funny thing, right? Like, they're still gonna have their beers after, but they're fucking showing up. There's fights. There's, you know, probably some big hits too, and
yeah, big time, yeah.
We really appreciate you coming on here today. The stories are fucking hilarious. I know that once you get talking about stories, more come to mind, and we could probably do this all night. But maybe we'll try and have you on again, maybe even with somebody else, even with the Chris Rajat or something, eh?
Yeah,
that'd be good. What's that?
Yeah, I used to call him Razzle Dazzle, because he had the hands. He hated that. He didn't have the speed, but he always had the hands, so I just call him Razzle Dazzle.
We'll get you and Razzie on sometime later, maybe in a couple months or something. That'd be fun, eh? You got any other questions, Flem?
I just had one. Well, I guess it involves our saying. Are you in the Boo Club?
Yeah, buddy.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast today, buddy. One more thing. You are in the first ever Pay It Forward Sports tournament. And we were just looking at the team that was submitted. Holy shit, you guys got some studs on there. So it'll be fun. We'll definitely see you there. Maybe we'll do a quick little funny interview with him at the tourney. What do you think, Flem?
Yeah.
After he scores a beauty goal or something. But
it does the back.
Anyways, bud, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, after he does a backhander.
That's it.
Thanks for coming on, buddy. And we'll see you on March 27th.
All right, guys, welcome back. That was Brandon Dafoe, Belleville legend. And like we said, so Brandon did spend some time with the Erie Otters, the Belleville Bulls, also played for the Wellington Dukes. And Brokey took him out, as you guys heard later, Brokey took him out with an injury, with a hit one time at the Yardman Arena. So they have a little bit of a rivalry there going on. But yeah, thanks for Brandon for coming on. It was lots of fun and lots of good stories in there for sure.
Yeah, hopefully everybody enjoyed that. I know actually we had a few people on Facebook bugging us to get Dafoe on. So that was about a month ago. So there you go, guys. We got Daffy on. We actually want to get him on again because when you get out somebody, it's different being on and you kind of forget about things. And I know there's a lot more stories, especially if we can get somebody like Razzie on and maybe even somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
They can definitely do some stories together. So we definitely want to do that in the future, guys. As far as even more guests, have maybe two of them on at once. I think it'd be quite comical, and we could definitely get into some different stories. Having said that, guys, once again, our partnered company, Pay It Forward Sports, has its first tournament March 27th. It's at the World Elite Training Facility in Belleville, and World Elite has sponsored the tournament. So it's Pay It Forward Sports men's 3-on-3 tournament, March 27th, sponsored by World Elite Training Facility. Like we say, this tournament filled up really, really fast within like 4 to 6 hours. We are working as hard as we can on a couple more tournaments. It's been a little bit of a process due to COVID. We're hoping by Saturday's podcast, we can release the next one, which we're hoping to do in April. No promises, but that is our plan. We've got some big plans. We're hopefully doing one in March, and we've got a ton of fun stuff for the warm months as well, Flem?
For sure, yeah. So yeah, I think we want to run a tournament every month, guys. I mean, we want people getting out there, getting active, right? So like Broker said, we're going to run one in April, hopefully a bigger one. We're going to run one in May, and then come summer, we're going to be running some different kind of events. Like I know rinks are going to be closed and stuff, but we're going to be looking to do some baseball, some volleyball, golf, anything like that. Like I think we want to get everyone back out in Belleville. And it's going to be a little bit of a social club too, right? Like everyone's going to get to know each other. Like we see all these guys around the rink all the time, right? We just kind of, give them a nod kind of thing. Everyone's going to get to know each other these tournaments, and it's going to be tons of fun, guys. So come on out. And for this March 27th one, we're getting some of the roster down. There are some good teams in that tournament, some real high-end players. So it's going to be some good hockey to watch too.
Yeah, definitely. Just to go on with that, we are having some sponsors. So if anybody owns a small business out there or any business at all, and you're looking to not only sponsor, but I'm going to use it as an advertisement because we are going to give back Our last episode, we did a little promotion for Brad Warner and Warner's Corner. If you're looking to sell a house, Brad Warner, give him a call, real estate agent. So there's another shout out to Brad, right? So Brad is he's donated towards he's a partner with us for the March 27th tournament. And we not only that, we don't want just to have your money. You're going to support us, which in long run, part of those proceeds are going to go towards getting kids in sports, which part of all of our proceeds do with Pay It Forward Sports. But we really appreciate that. But you're going to get on our website, which we are redoing, which we're hoping to have done by the end of the week. We are going to give you at least one shout out a month, depending on how many months you go with on this podcast. Warner's already got 2. Plus, like we say, Facebook, Instagram shout outs, you name it. And the biggest thing at the tournament, we're going to have a nice big banner, your logo on there. You can have business cards on there. And you know what? Our next tournament, we're hoping to have about 240 people if it all goes as planned. That's a lot of people to advertise to. And that's just not like, oh, somebody sees it and gone. They're going to see it. We're going to tell them about it. And we're going to only gain more viewers for this podcast, for our social medias as well, under the Boo Club Sports. So guys, if you're looking to gain some more customers, give us a call. We'd love to partner with you.
Absolutely. That's well said, Brokey. We're going to work hard for you. If you advertise with us or you partner with us, we're going to work hard for you to find you more customers for whatever you do, right? Whether you're a realtor, you're a contractor, anything like that. We're going to engage our listeners and our followers, and we're going to tell people, hey, this is a good guy. Go with them. You know, we support local business here. I mean, we are a small business too. So all the money we raise, hopefully is going to stay within the community. And that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to make Belleville, Quinte, and the surrounding areas just a better place overall. So partner with us, and we will work as hard as we can to get you more customers, guys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, and go ahead.
No, I was just going to.
I was just going to say, Fleming, do you think the Leafs are going to win a game this week or no?
I think we'll win 2, bud. Don't worry about it.
Whoa, 2. I think Ottawa's going to take it to Ottawa's. I think last 5 games or something against Edmonton. They're winning the next one, buddy.
All right.
Count that one. So yeah. Anyways, we'll see everybody on Saturday. Next podcast. We can't wait to see you. We're flying high, having a good time here on the Boo Club Sports, featuring the Battle of Ontario Hockey Podcast.
Absolutely. So that's it for today, guys. Hit us up on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, anything else, check us out on our website. And Brokey, I got one question for you, bud. Are you in?
The Boo Club.